Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation continues from Tanasri Mahalla Tija. The sabad recited stanza by stanza. Tanasri Mahalla Tija, Jag Maila Mailo Hoi, ave jaye duje lubhai, duje pahe sab parj vigoi, मन मुख चोटा खाए अपनी पत खोई. The literal translation first. Jag Maila, the world, is polluted. And here the world that is being referenced is the world of the mind. So the world of the mind is polluted. Jag Maila. Mailo Hoi jai. And it becomes ever more polluted. So that's the movement of the mind is towards more and more pollution, more and more ego, in other words. Ave jai, it comes and it goes, meaning the mind fluctuates. Duje lobhai, ave jai, duje lobhai. Why does it fluctuate? Duje lobhai. Because duje is the other. Lobhai is the spell, the pull. So it fluctuates under the spell of duality. Duje pae sab parj vigoi. So lost in duality, sab parj, all beings, parj comes from parja, vigoi, are ruined. Manmukh chota khai, the manmukh, the self-willed, the self-centered, the egoic, suffer. Apni pat khoye, and they lose their dignity. So the pollution of the mind that the Guru is talking about is really a perceptual distortion. And this, by the way, is our default condition. When we appear in this world, we bring with us this distortion of perception, because how vijaya, we come with this sense of individuation. And duje lobhai, the mind is naturally drawn to the other world. Which is the other world here? There is the world of your subjective consciousness, the inner world, and the other world here is the external, objective world. And we are naturally drawn to it because we are made, our bodies are made from the elements of the outer world. So there is a natural pull. And what that does is sets in motion a perpetual fluctuation. Ave jai. And what is the duality? It is the duality of opposites. The external world is a world of opposites, pleasure and pain. We are constantly fluctuating between these two opposites. And this constant motion between the opposites conditions the mind. In other words, the mind accumulates the grime of habit on the lens of your consciousness. And you lose inner cohesion. You don't see clearly. And that's the state of the manmukh, or the ego-oriented. We are all manmukhs to begin with. And the idea is to move from this confusion and anxiety that being a manmukh causes. The loss of honor is not really societal shame, but innate dignity. You lose your sense of dignity. And now to the Rahau, the axial of the Sabad. Gur seva te jana nirmal hoye, antar naam vasai, pati uttam hoye rahao. Gur seva te, through service to the Guru Enlightener, to that principle of enlightenment, to that enlightened source, which, by the way, is within us. Service means to experience, to serve. Seva comes from sevan. Sevan means to assimilate, to actually experience. So service implies assimilation of the Guru's teachings. By doing that, Jana Nirmal Hoye, a person becomes pure. We'll see what that means. And when the wisdom of the name, Naam, comes to abide within, Antar Naam Vasai, one's dignity is restored. Pat Uttam Hoye. So Naam is that eternal wisdom, that aspect of the creative that links the two worlds, the inner subjective world and the other external world. It is this link that is not readily evident to us because the ego is fogged. Through cleansing, through the lens of the Guru, in other words, this link becomes visible. This wisdom becomes available. So the ego mind learns to reorient itself. You could say it learns to cleanse or purge itself of its conditioned patterns that keep repeating and become walls that block perception. The next verse, Gurmukh ubbare har saranai, Ram naam rate bhagat dridai, Bhagat kare jan vadayai pae, Saach ratte sukh sahaj samaye. Gurmukh ubbare, uplifted, come alive. Gurmukh, those who are Gur guided, are uplifted by virtue of taking refuge in Har Saranai, that awareness, universal awareness that comes through the guidance of the Guru, awareness of the self, hukam. Immersed in self-awareness, Ram Naam Ratte Bhagat Dridai, their devotion becomes ever more firm. And Bhagat Kare, through devotion, Jana Vadayai Pai, is the gift of awareness obtained. So you see, this is circular. Saach Ratte, when you're infused with the truth, which is the same thing as Ramanam, they abide with spontaneous ease. Sukh Sahaj Samaya. Sahaj is stability of the mind, tranquility. It requires a tranquil mind, and the mind is tranquil through the Guru. So the Gurmukh is one who orients the mind towards that wisdom. That wisdom is awareness through the lens of the Guru. So we are changing our grounding. We are raising the mind beyond its egoic tendencies. And then there is buoyancy. You float. Devotion, this devotion to the Har implies devotion to humanity, to humanity, because Har also means everybody. So this devotion is not to any abstract principle, but it is devotion to humanity, serving humanity. There's a dual purpose here. One, to become aware of this self, har, and to become aware that it is everywhere, in everybody, and then to serve it. The Guru says, Sache ka gahak, this is the next verse, Sache ka gahak, virla ko jaan. Know this to be the truth. What is the truth? Rare indeed is the customer of the truth, of this wisdom. Sache ka gahak, a customer, a buyer. Rare is such a buyer. But through the sabad, through the Guru's word, will you recognize your authenticity. Aap Pashan. So you require this self-recognition. This is the true capital and the real exchange. The Guru wants us to know this to be true. And blessed indeed is the person who loves Naam. In other words, one who engages in this exchange. So the message here is know thyself, aap pashan. And in the marketplace of life, the Guru is saying very few investors recognize and trade in the wisdom of the self. Most of us, of course, prefer to trade in the comforting illusions of the ego. The Guru is trying to turn our attention to that commodity which has real value. Vast, aisi vast pachan. So that is the capital that you need, the wisdom for trading one's ego for the authentic self. And that capital is attention. It is intention and attention. You move your attention from being transaction-oriented, which is the habit of the ego, to transformation. You move from self-deception to self-recognition. You move from illusion to the love of wisdom. So through the Guru's word, this self-knowledge arises. And this is not just psychological insight. More importantly, it is to recognize one's ontological source, one's true nature, that you're not the body, that you are the spirit within the body. In conclusion, Tin Prabh Sacha, Ik Sach Lai. Tin Prabh Sacha, through the agency of the Prabh, the eternal Prabh, Ik Sach Lai, some are attuned to its wisdom. So through the agency of the eternal Prabh, some are attuned to its wisdom. Tin Prabh Sacha, Ik Sach Lai. So you see, it takes the Prabh to even motivate us. Uttama Bani, sabad sunai. So what does the eternal Prabh do? It causes us to hear the exalted word revealed as sabad. Uttama Bani, sabad sunai, Prabh Sache ki sachi kar. The concluding lines. Prabh Sache ki sachi kar. The works of the eternal Prabh are forever. Sachi kar. This is the truth. Nanak Naam Savaranhar. It is that wisdom which beautifies us, which reshapes us, refines us. So authenticity, this transformation cannot be forced. It happens when the mind becomes attuned to the Guru's inspired speech. That becomes the voice of clarity. And whatever flows from the self has integrity. Sachi Kar. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.